Greetings and welcome back to our continuing exploration of Nelson Nash's Becoming Your Own Banker. I'm Brad Villers. Last time we covered the introduction to IBC, and today we'll get into the next section of the book, How the Infinite Banking Concept Got Started. Mr. Nash cites three major events as what he calls the root thoughts of IBC. First was his college education being in forestry management and the resulting study of forest financing, having a significant focus on compound interest over long periods of time, with no taxation on the buildup of that capital. Second was from the understanding he gained of the workings of dividend-paying whole life insurance in his 30-plus year career selling that product. Third was his experience in real estate, particularly what he learned about leverage and the fact that to make the economics of real estate work, you're almost always dealing with borrowed money. So he goes through the process of describing his small successes in real estate early on, leading to bigger deals and, with them, larger amounts of debt. Then there were a series of very significant events, including his brother's sudden and unexpected death at age 52, their first grandchild being diagnosed with cancer at 5 months old, and interest rates on what had grown to be $500,000 of debt he had accumulated, jumping from 9.5% to 23% practically overnight. Now, one thing I love about Mr. Nash is his relentless focus on personal responsibility that's everywhere in his writing, and to me seems to really form the foundation of his outlook on pretty much everything. We see it in this section where he describes his many months of prayer in the middle of the night going something like this: Lord, please show me a way out of this financial nightmare that I have created for myself. Now, I'm a big fan of Napoleon Hill and Earl Nightingale, whose underlying theme is so similar in that, whether we know it or not, we possess the mechanisms to resolve our own problems, just like the ones Mr. Nash readily acknowledged were of his making, and that is through our thinking. It took him some time, but finally hit him, as he says, like a baseball bat across the eyes, and that was the ability to borrow against the cash value of 3 whole life insurance policies he owned at rates ranging from 5 to 8%. Pardon the interruption, but I'd ask that you take a minute to subscribe, like, share, hit the thumbs up and notification bell, or how about all the above? I hope you're recognizing that this information can be life-changing. But the question that continues to bother me is why it took me so long to find it. Is it possible that, as liberating as these ideas are, they're not so helpful to the hordes of mainstream so-called financial experts beating the drums for doing extremely foolish things with our money because it benefits them? I think it's more than just possible. That's why I'm asking for your help, in the hopes of getting this out to as many people as this humble effort can. Give it some thought. And thanks again for using those 2 precious forms of your personal currency: spending time and paying attention here. Thanks, and be well. Now, he doesn't go into the background of how he knew to own whole life insurance, and I'm very curious to find out how that came about. But in any event, he goes on to say, quote, "If I had not been accustomed to paying very large premiums, it is doubtful that I would have seen the message." But he still needed to access more capital in light of the amount of debt he had, and concluded that he needed to alter what he calls his spending pattern, and goes on to point out that when he began to teach others to design their financial practices in a similar fashion, his income tripled. He concludes with this, which I think is worth quoting and certainly resonated with me. Maybe you have found yourself in such a financial prison, or maybe you want to develop a system to keep yourself out. Maybe yours is smaller or greater. Whatever, the principles are the same and they will serve you well. It requires understanding and it requires a discipline to implement the idea, but it can change your life dramatically, even beyond your fondest dreams. I hope you found this informative, and you'll join me next time when we tackle the next section of Part 1 of Nelson Nash's Becoming Your Own Banker, Imagination. Be well, and see you then.